I was there when she found out. By someone who saw everything. They say a mother never forgets her child. But that day, I watched one stare into her son's face and not know him at all. And worse, I watched him find out what she did to him. It all started when Miss Nina came to our school. She was new, young, and quiet. Maybe 30, maybe a little more. She came in a taxi with 2 bags and a tired look. The principal introduced her in assembly. "This is your new English teacher," he said. "Treat her with respect." I was in SS2, same class as Chitty. Chitty was not like the rest of us. He never talked much, but his brain worked like a machine. He got every question right, every test. He was first in class every term since JSS1. Teachers said he was special. We all knew it too, but he didn't act proud or anything. Miss Nina started teaching us the next day. Her voice was soft, but serious. The kind that made you listen. She was good at it, I won't lie. Better than Mr. Udo, who used to teach us before. She told stories, gave us easy tricks to remember things. Even Chitty looked up sometimes from his book to listen. What none of us knew, not even Chitty, was that something deep was waiting to happen. Something from long ago. Something dark. It began on a Friday. The principal called Chitty to the office after school. I was cleaning the blackboard when I saw him go. Then I saw Miss Nina go in too. I don't know what they talked about that day, but I know she came out looking strange, like she had seen a ghost. That night, I heard her crying in her room. The teachers' quarters were close to the hostel, and the walls were thin. From that day, she started looking at Chitty in a new way, like she was scared of him, or maybe scared of herself. She asked him questions she didn't ask anyone else. She stared at him too long. One day during break, I even saw her touch his hair lightly when she thought no one was watching. Then came the day Chitty brought a woman to school. His mother. At least the one we all thought was his mother. She was tall, rich-looking, with a big scarf on her head and gold bangles on her wrist. She didn't smile much. When she walked past Miss Nina, I saw Miss Nina freeze. Her face went white like paper. The next week, Miss Nina didn't come to class. Then she came back and said she was fine, just sick. But her eyes had changed. What I didn't know was that she had gone to Enugu, to see someone, to ask questions, to dig into her past. And that's when everything broke. She found out that the boy she sold 15 years ago, when she was just a scared girl of 17, was here, in this same school, in her own class, Chitty. She had sold him for money, just a little money. The woman who took him couldn't give birth. Miss Nina's parents forced her, said it was shameful to have a child without a husband. So she gave him away. Now he was here, tall, brilliant, and quiet, the same eyes, the same way of holding a pen. She knew, and he didn't, but not for long. One afternoon I saw it happen. Chitty found the photo. It was in Miss Nina's file, a baby photo. On the back it said, "My son, Chitty. Born July 6th. Forgive me someday." He went quiet, didn't come to class for 2 days. Then he came, walked straight to her in the staff room. No anger, just a question. "Why?" She looked at him. She couldn't speak. I was there. I heard him say the words, "You are my mother, but you gave me away." The room was silent. A pin could drop and everyone would hear it. Miss Nina fell to the floor and started to cry. Real crying like a child. And Chitty walked out. After that, things changed. He still came to class. But he didn't talk to her. And she didn't force it. She just taught. Quietly. Like someone paying for a sin she could never undo. She didn't ask him for love. Or forgiveness. And he didn't offer it. But sometimes, during lessons, their eyes would meet. And something would pass between them. A question. Pain. A thread of blood too strong to cut. I don't know what happened after we graduated. But I know I saw something most people never will. A mother and son, standing in the same room. Strangers. Bound by a secret only the two of them could feel. And me? I was there. I saw it all. The day after Chitty found the photo, everything felt strange in class. We were reading things fall apart, but it was like everyone could feel that something had already fallen apart. Miss Nina stood at the front of the class, holding her book like it was the only thing keeping her upright. She called on people to read, but skipped Chitty. She didn't even look at him. Chitty didn't raise his hand either, for the first time since term started. He just stared at his desk. I think everyone in class noticed, but no one said anything. That night in the hostel, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what I saw in the staff room. I wanted to talk to someone about it, but how do you explain that your classmate just found out his mother is his teacher? That he was sold like some old chair, and now he sits across from the woman who did it? No one would believe me, so I kept it to myself. A week passed, then two. One day, after school, I saw Chitty standing near the school gate, alone. He wasn't waiting for a car or anyone, just standing there, looking at the road. I went to him. "You good?" I asked. He didn't answer at first. Then he said something I didn't expect. "She was crying when I was born," he said, still looking at the road. "She named me Chitty. She said it means God exists. But she still gave me away." I didn't know what to say. He turned to me. "Do you think people like that can ever be forgiven?" I shrugged. "Maybe. But maybe they don't want forgiveness. Maybe they just want to carry the guilt." He looked at me for a long time. Then he nodded. "Yeah, maybe." After that, Chitty started writing. I noticed he was always scribbling in a small notebook. During break, after class, even in prep. I asked him once what he was writing, and he just said, "My truth." I didn't ask again. One day, he gave that notebook to Miss Nina, quietly after class. No one else saw, but I did. She didn't open it immediately. She held it like it was heavy, even though it was small. Later that evening, I walked past her quarters and saw her sitting outside, reading it slowly, her hands shaking. That night, she didn't cry. She just sat there, staring at the moon. Maybe the notebook didn't have forgiveness, but maybe it had understanding, or questions he was finally ready to ask. The school year continued. Chitty stayed brilliant. Miss Nina stayed soft-spoken and distant. But something in both of them had changed. Once, near the end of the term, she called him to help her carry exam scripts. They walked side by side, quietly. When they passed me, I heard her say, "You looked just like this when you were a baby." He didn't answer, but he didn't walk away either. Later, I asked him if he was angry. He said, "Yes, but not just at her. At the world, at the shame, at how things happen to people when they're too young to choose." That hit me hard. When the session ended, Miss Nina left the school. She didn't tell anyone goodbye, not even the other teachers. She just left a short letter with the principal. Said she needed time, that she was going back to her village. Chitty didn't say anything when he heard. He just nodded. But on the last day of school, I saw him slip something into her old desk. It was the notebook. He had taken it back, and written more in it. On the cover, he had added a new line. "To the woman who gave me life and pain, and gave me back my story." I was the only one who saw him place it there. Now, years have passed. We've all moved on. I hear Chitty is in the university now, studying medicine. Still brilliant. I don't know where Miss Nina is. Maybe still in her village. Maybe somewhere trying to forgive herself. But I know this much. The past doesn't go away. It just sleeps, waiting. And one day, like it did here, it wakes up, in the same classroom between a teacher and a boy with her eyes. And I was there. The school felt different after Miss Nina left. Quieter. Not because people missed her, but because something heavy had passed through like a storm, and now everything was still. Chitty didn't talk about her. He didn't even look at her old desk anymore. But I knew he thought about her. I knew because I saw the way he opened his locker slowly every morning, like he was waiting for something that wouldn't be there. One day, during prep, I saw him reading a letter. It was short, folded many times. I pretended not to notice. But later, when he got up to get water, he left it on his desk. I didn't touch it, but I saw the first line. "You were always mine, even when I pretended you weren't." I looked away. That term, something changed in Chitty. He became quieter than before, but not in a bad way. More focused, more mature. He started helping other students with their work, even the ones who used to call him oversabi. He laughed a bit more, smiled when we joked around. But sometimes, when he thought no one was watching, his face would fall into that deep quiet again. One Saturday we had a visiting day. Parents came with food and drinks and gossip. Chitty's mother, the woman who raised him, came as usual with her gold bangles and tight smile. She brought jollof rice, chicken, even malt. She sat under a tree with him asking how school was. From far away they looked like a normal family. But I noticed Chitty didn't eat much. And when she tried to touch his hair, he leaned away just a little. Later, he told me something I'll never forget. I used to love her like a real mother. But now I don't know what to feel. I asked him if he ever told her what he found out. He shook his head. No, she doesn't know I know. And I don't want to break her. Then he added, she gave me love, but it came from someone else's pain. I don't know what to do with that. That was the kind of thing Chitty said, simple words but heavy. Second term ended and the holidays came. Chitty didn't go home immediately. He stayed behind for a few days to help the librarian sort books. I stayed too, mostly to be around him. On the last night before he left, he told me everything. We sat behind the assembly hall. It was dark, but the moon gave enough light to see his face. She was 17, he said. Her father was a church elder. Her mother a traitor. When she got pregnant, they beat her. He looked down at his hands. They said she had brought shame. She begged to keep me, but they told her no man would marry her if she had a child. So they found a woman who had money but couldn't give birth. He paused. They said it was adoption, but it wasn't. It was selling. I didn't speak. I just listened. She cried when she gave me away. I saw it in the letter. She even ran after the car. But they held her back. I asked him how he found all this. She wrote everything in that notebook. And later I went to Enugu, found her aunt. She told me more, showed me pictures, said Miss Nina had wanted to look for me many times, but her parents threatened to disown her. We sat in silence for a while. Then I asked the big question. Do you want her in your life now? Chitty didn't answer for a long time. Then he said, I don't know if I want her, but I want to know her. It was third term, final year. We were all busy with WEC prep, but Chitty had made up his mind. One weekend, he traveled to her village, Umuahia. He didn't tell anyone except me. He carried the notebook with him. When he came back, I saw something new in his eyes. Not peace, but something close. She lives in a small house behind the church, he said. She teaches kids how to read. Has a dog named Simba. I smiled. Simba? Seriously? He laughed. Yeah, it's old and lazy. Then he went quiet again. She cried when she saw me, but she didn't hug me. She just kept saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I asked, what did you say? I told her I wasn't angry, just tired of wondering. He told me they sat under a mango tree and talked for 2 hours. She told him everything. No hiding. No lies. She said she's not asking me to love her, he said. Just to know that she loves me. I asked him if he believed her. He nodded. Yes, I think I always did. Graduation came faster than we expected. Our last day at school was bright and noisy. Cameras flashing, students signing shirts, parents smiling like politicians. The hall was packed, and when Chitty went up to collect his award for Best Graduating Student, the whole school stood up. Even the teachers who used to say he was too quiet were clapping like they knew they just taught someone who would change the world. But me, I was watching something else. I saw her, Miss Nina. She stood quietly at the back of the crowd, dressed in a plain blue wrapper and white blouse. No makeup, no big hair, just herself. Her hands trembled as she clapped softly for him. No one else knew who she was, but I did, and he did. After the ceremony, people gathered to take pictures. I was taking one with my friends when I looked across the lawn and saw Chitty walking slowly toward her. He didn't rush. She didn't move. They stood there, mother and son, under the shade of the mango tree near the classroom block. He reached into his bag and brought out a small parcel, wrapped in brown paper and tied with string. She opened it slowly. Inside was a framed photo, the baby picture she had once kept in her file. But now, next to it, was a photo of him in his graduation gown, smiling. There was a note below it. Now I know who I am. I am the child you had, the boy she raised, and the man I choose to become. She covered her mouth. The tears came again, but they weren't loud, just quiet ones, the kind that come from somewhere deep. And then, slowly, Chitty stepped forward and hugged her. It wasn't long. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. I turned away. I don't know why, but I did. Maybe because I felt something close in my chest. Maybe because I knew I was witnessing something sacred, not meant for cameras or eyes, just hearts. After that day, they both disappeared from our lives again. Some say Miss Nina moved to the city to be closer to Chitty while he studied medicine. Others say she went back to teaching in another small town, writing letters to him every week, even if he didn't reply right away. I don't know all the details, but I know what I saw. I saw a boy find his mother. I saw a woman face the child she gave away. I saw pain become story, and story become healing. And me? I was just the one who witnessed it, the one who saw it unfold piece by piece. And I will never forget, because in a small corner of our school, under a mango tree, something impossible happened. A past that was broken was stitched back, slowly, painfully, honestly, into something whole.